Welcome back, Sebastian here. So today I'm going to be doing my power rankings for the Mexico ePrix. Of course, first race of the season, so we don't really have a lot to go on, especially since that race was such a banger that so many overtakes, so much action on track that there's so much to go off. But anyway, I kid. So starting in 22nd, starting in 16th, and DNFing from the race is Antonio Felix Costa. Not the start of the season that he would have wanted. Coming to this year, he would have wanted to challenge for the championship, getting off to a really good start as well, especially since last year, his first year with Porsche also didn't start out great either. So not the way he would have wanted to start that race, getting that contact with Nico Müller, DNFing. He's been given a 3-place grid penalty for the next race as well. The qualifying as well definitely did not help. On a track where we had so few overtakes. So number 21, another driver who would have been hoping to be much closer to the front of the grid, is Robin Frijns. So for Frijns, he started in 7th place, had a very good qualifying lap in the in the group stage, and then made a complete mess of his qualifying lap in the duels. Was out qualified by like a second or 2 seconds, something like that. Massive mistake at turn 1. Then had a very poor start. Apparently it was a technical issue, but not on him. And then he basically just spun out of the race and crashed out from there. So not a great opening race for Frijns on his return to Envision, and he'll be hoping for better in 2 weeks' time. Next, I have Jehan Daruvala, the rookie. So he qualified 17th and finished 16th. Not a great weekend, I think, for him, especially given the pace of the powertrain, looking at where his teammate finished, even though it was his first race. That being said, he did keep it clean, didn't get in any crashes like these two very experienced drivers unfortunately did. So, on that front, not too bad, but still, the lack of pace was a bit troubling, especially over one lap, and he'll be looking to, get better from here going forward. Number 19, Dan Ticktum. Let's see, for Ticktum, he basically outraced his teammate. Did not a whole lot of not particularly heavy praise there, given that his teammate didn't start the race. And for Ticktum, he qualified 21st, started 21st on the grid and finished 18th. So not a great weekend for Ticktum. I think qualifying, I was kind of shocked how poor it was. Was well off the pace of everyone else, and then in the race finished 45 seconds off the back of everyone else. So almost certainly a technical issue, unless ERT are going to be the slowest team this year by an absolute mile, which I honestly would not be surprised if they were the slowest, but not by that margin. But for Ticktum, a bit of a tough opening weekend, not a whole lot of good points to write about, so I put him in 19th. Number 18, Sergio Sette Camera. So it's kind of hard to be ranked particularly high when you don't participate in the race. For Sette Camera, he, I believe, would have started 20th, I believe, something like that. He would have been just ahead of his teammate, and then of course broke down on the way to the grid and couldn't even start the race. So not a whole lot to say. Of course, he's going to be hoping for a much cleaner weekend next time out. Number 17, Lucas Di Grassi. So for Di Grassi, a bit of a tough weekend. Was out qualified by his teammate Nico Müller, qualifying not going exactly to plan. Of course, it seemed like the mistake he made on the opening lap was a brake, some kind of brake issue, technical problem with the car, not really his fault. Not going to put a whole lot of fault on him for that, and blame on him for that. But still, again, not a great weekend, so I put him in 17th. Now, moving up 16th, we have Nick De Vries. So for De Vries, started 22nd on the grid, so plumb last, and then finished 15th. So the race was a bit better, managed to somehow make some overtakes. We never saw them on the broadcast, so that can't be helped. But for De Vries, a bit of a tough opening weekend. We knew that, I think, on one lap pace was going to be a bit heavy, tough sledding, given the lack of testing time, given that it is his first year with the Gen 3 car, which is very different from the Gen 2 cars he's used to. So I'm willing to give him a bit of a pass there, but still not a fantastic weekend. His teammate outraced him and out-qualified him. Number 15, Sam Bird. So for Bird, bit of a tough opening weekend at McLaren. He started 11th on the grid and finished in 14th. Was basically in 11th place for the majority of the race, and then suddenly dropped 3 positions suddenly out of nowhere. We didn't see what happened. I presume some kind of mistake, which is unfortunately kind of par for the course for Bird. We'll just randomly have a mistake here and there. And I think he won't be super pleased by the fact that his teammate, much younger than him, much less, well, actually not that much younger, but much less experienced than him, was that much better than him by comparison. So tough weekend for Bird, and he'll be wanting hope better in the area. Number 14, I've gone with Nico Mueller. So for Mueller, qualified 12th, very strong qualifying result, finished 17th and outraced and outqualified his teammate. So not a terrible result for Mueller, even though the race I think didn't go exactly as planned. Dropped down quite a few positions. Most of those were because he was hit by DaCosta, and then of course had damage from that. So not really a whole lot to say for Mueller. Of course, that collision the blame was attributed to DaCosta, 3-point grid penalty. So for Mueller, not a whole lot he could have done afterwards. Number 13, I've gone with Edo Mortara. So for Mortara, outraced and outqualified his teammate, started 15th and then finished 13th. So not a terrible result for him in the Mahindra, given that expectations are going to be very low this season. Beat Debris. I think that's really all he could have done. I think there weren't that many DNFs, and honestly there was very little overtaking, so he was basically just sitting in a train and hope that you don't make a mistake. For Mortara, not a whole lot extra to add, and he'll be wanting to basically be in that kind of position, be on lower ends of the points or just outside the points, so that he can capitalize when we do have a chaotic race and we have 6+ DNFs like we sometimes do. Number 12, gone with Sasha Fenestras. Fenestras qualified, started 9th on the grid, finished 12th, outqualified his teammate, but was outraced by his teammate. So for Fenestras, a race that was pretty much exemplified his entire season last year, where really strong qualifying result, but then the performances in the races leave you wanting a bit more. For Fenestras, he's going to be wanting to try to convert some of his stronger qualifying performances this year more so than last year, and today was unfortunately not one of those days. So for Fenestras, I think he's going to be wanting for a bit better result, especially given he was beaten by his teammate who started much further down than him. Number 11, I've gone with Norman Nato. So for Nato, honestly a pretty decent, I think, debut weekend for Andretti, especially given where his world champion teammate finished. For Nato, he finished 10th after starting 13th, and he technically outqualified, or he started ahead of his teammate on the grid, so I'm counting that as outqualifying his teammate. For Nato, I think that would have been a positive surprise, outqualifying Dennis. Basically just stayed behind Dennis the whole race and was honestly pretty close to him. Closer than any of Dennis's teammates have looked in the last couple of seasons. That's definitely what Andretti would have been hoping for, and I think he'll just be positively happy with that first result, first weekend with Andretti, and he'll be just kind of wanting to build from here and hope we get better results in the coming races. Number 10, I'm gonna go with Oliver Rowland. So for Rowland, he started 20th on the grid, but despite that and the fact that overtaking was very, very difficult, he finished 11th and outraced his teammate. So for Rowland, just missing out on points, but a pretty good weekend I think for him, coming from the back of the grid. I think he's going to want to improve his qualifying performances in the coming races. But he basically had quite a long time out since his last Formula E race, given that he left Mahindra midway through last season. I think honestly can't really say that much about his race because we didn't really see a whole lot of it. I would expect that he got quite a few positions at the start, and then basically through taking his attack mode at pretty opportune moments, basically he picked off his remaining pieces there. So not a whole lot more to add for Rowland. So moving into number 9, I have Stoffel Van Dorn. So for Van Dorn, he qualified, he started 8th, originally qualified 7th, I believe. Actually, let's see. I think I might have gotten that wrong. Yeah, I did. So, yeah, started 8th, finished 8th, and out-qualified his teammate Jean-Eric Byrne. But of course, Byrne outraced him. So for Van Dorn, he picked up a penalty for some kind of infringement during practice. It was just a 1 point grid penalty, but still, for Van Dorn, I think a bit disappointing to lose out in the teammate head-to-head against Matchev. Nonetheless, he did get some solid points on the board, and he'll be wanting to build on that in the coming races. Number 8, Jake Dennis. So, uncharacteristically poor performance in qualifying for Dennis. Started the race in 14th and finished in 9th. Made a good start, made a couple of positions up there. I think he would have made another one during the attack mode phase. But still, he would have been hoping for a lot more, and of course not as good of a start to the season as last year. I think for Dennis, even if for whatever reason even if these qualifying issues persist, it seems like the Porsche powertrain is a pretty good car to start the season. And once we get to more traditional Formula E tracks where you can't overtake, where you aren't basically in these trains for the entire race, I think we should be able to see better results from Dennis. I think today was just an unfortunate combination of poor qualifying and a track where not a whole lot of overtaking was happening. Number 7, I've got Mitch Evans. So for Evans, started 5th on the grid, had a 1 point grid penalty drop, and he finished in 5th. For Evans, I think a bit of a disappointing race. I know the 10 points in the bag will definitely be welcome, especially since in the long run, with looking towards the championship fight, those 10 points could be very, very valuable. And if that ends up being one of his worst results of the season, that's still fairly good. For Evans, I think a bit of a tough weekend. The qualifying was between himself and Cassidy was very, very close, but it did seem like towards the end of the race that his energy management was kind of trailing off of that of the leaders, and he was falling a bit backwards towards the clutches of Jean-Eric Byrne. I think kind of fortunate that it was so difficult to overtake, as otherwise I think he would have lost a couple of positions there. Number 6, Jean-Eric Byrne. So for Byrne, outraced his teammate Van Dorn. He started 10th and finished in 6th, so made up 4 positions in the race somehow. I think probably a good start, combination of a good start and making up those positions during the attack mode phase. But you have not a whole lot to add other than that, it's a pretty good race, I think, and he was able to make up quite a few positions in a very, very tough race to do so. Alright, number 5, Jake Hughes. So for Hughes, he started the race in 6th and he finished in 7th. So 6 points on the board for him, and he outraced and he outqualified his teammate Sam Bird. So pretty decent result for the McLaren. If the McLaren is about as strong as it was last year, where it's able to get some points every now and then I think today's result was very, very close to perfect. Very good in qualifying and very good in the race as well. I think a bit fortunate, of course, that overtaking was as difficult as it was, but he wasn't one of those drivers who I felt was kind of being a stopper in the bottle like I felt Evans or Bird were. Number 4. So this is kind of where things kind of get a bit, I guess, boring or a bit easy, I guess. So, number 4, I've got Max Günther. Started the race in 3rd, finished in 4th, and outraced and outqualified his teammate Jehan Jarubala. So for Günther, really good start to the season, finishing 4th in the Maserati. I think that's basically continuing the same form that he had the second half of last year. I think, of course, got a bit lucky in qualifying that both Cassidy and Evans got a grid penalty, which is why he started in 3rd. I was a bit surprised by that too. But still, just kind of drove his race, stayed in 4th place, didn't get overtaken by anyone. Well, technically lost a position to Cassidy, but still stayed up towards the front. Pretty good race for him. Number 3, Nick Cassidy. So for Cassidy, pretty good qualifying, started 4th on the grid. Of course, got Günther through the attack mode phase and outraced and outqualified his teammate Mitch Evans, which is definitely a very tough, very strong accomplishment. For Cassidy, he'll be happy to get a podium in his first race of the season. with this new team Jaguar, and he's going to be wanting to build on that momentum in the coming races. All right, number 2. It's kind of pretty straightforward. Sebastian Buemi. So for Buemi, started second, finished second, outraced and out-qualified his teammate Robin Fines. Very strong result. Never really looked to have the pace to win the race. Verline always looked like he was like a step ahead. Of course, Buemi may have been able to get him at some point during the attack mode phase, but Verline was very good as well. Was very strategic with taking his attack mode, so never really left an opportunity for Buemi to capitalize there. But still, for Buemi, very strong result. Alright, number 1, your race winner and your championship leader, Pascal Verline. Started the race from pole, won the race, and of course, obviously outraced and outqualified his teammate. I think he'll be very happy with that result. Very strong start to the season like last year. Of course, you'll notice that the top 4 are the same as the race order. I felt like these 3 cars, we expect them to be about be the strongest cars, and they're very close in order. So I did feel like it was fair to rank them that way. This season I'm leaning towards doing each race individually. I know there was last year there were races where I would do my power rankings, and then I would have a driver would have a really good result after a string of really poor results, so I'd move them up to let's say if they went down in the 20s, I move them up to like say the 14th place, and people would be like, that driver had one of the best weekends of anyone there. Why is he so low, right? So we'll see how it goes. I think I'll do that. I'll do each race individually for the first couple of races. We'll see how it goes. If I feel like it's too similar to the race result, it's not representative of how I feel the drivers are doing, I might make changes from there. But thank you so much for watching first power rankings of the season done. And now we have a 2-week break until the next race do a doubleheader in Delia. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.